Bob's Breakfast.
If you're caught using a mobile phone while you're driving, it's £200 fine, 6 points on your licence. But is that the craziest thing you can do at the wheel? What have you seen? Sarah?
I used to work in Watford and I used to drive all day, sitting in traffic in the morning and the evening. You used to see the same people all the time.
Yeah.
There was a lady who used to pluck her eyebrows.
Really?
Yeah, a man, kind of electric shaver, shaving along while he was driving. People eating bowls of cereal.
Bowls of cereal with milk?
Well, I presume so, with milk, spoons, etc. Just doing the kind of morning things in their car.
Wow. So this mobile phone thing, they need to go further than that, don't they?
Cereal should definitely be up there.
Right, especially if you're a serial offender. Yes, there you go. All right.
Boom.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Bob's Breakfast.
I'm Graham Mack. Good morning, Carolina.
Good morning, Graham. I know that we don't talk to each other.
We do talk to each other from time to time,
No,
yes.
I'm not talking to you, basically.
You're not talking to me?
It's my birthday today.
Your birthday?
Yes, I would like to say about my favourite sound.
Okay. What's your favourite sound, first of all?
Well, my favourite sound is a freshly opened bottle of wine.
Oh,
and first pour into the glass. That's the best sound ever.
You like that? You like that sound? You like it because you're an alcoholic? Okay. How old are you?
You don't know how old I am. You know exactly.
Are you 39?
No, I'm 36 today.
36. But you're still looking for a fella?
Yes, of course, always.
Yes, yeah. And you're keeping yourself in shape? You're still looking good for the gents? It's Carolina's birthday. She likes a glass of wine. It's Carolina's birthday. Desperate and dateless but looking fine. I'm glad it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. You're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36 today! Yes, we're going to a party. Yes, we're going to a party. Carolina to a birthday party, yeah.
Bob's Breakfast.
Vince.
Graham, yeah, it's all what people are doing behind the wheel.
Craziest thing you've seen?
Yeah, well, I've got something you'll never believe. The most amazing, craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What was it?
Well, I would have anticipated that it was probably coming from Hartford. Driving from Hartford into where I was going to get a paper. They come past the crossing. There we've got 8x4 sheets of plasterboard on top of their car.
Yeah.
The driver must have an automatic because he's got one hand on one side of the plasterboard on top of his roof. His passengers are the other side.
He's what? He's reached out of the window and is holding it on the roof.
Yeah, he's driving. Yeah, the driver's actually holding the sheet of plasterboard with his left hand, driving with his right, and he's got his passenger holding the other side, and he's driving past the crossing with 8x4 sheets of plasterboard.
Wow. So it's not tied on at all. The driver and the passenger.
There was no cords or trangs or anything. Just holding it on with their hands.
Holding it on with their hands and driving one-handed.
Yeah. They
wow.
must obviously have an automatic.
Yeah. Well, you'd hope so. Either that or he's driving everywhere in second gear and slipping the clutch. I mean, goodness me.
Bob's Breakfast.
Chris Hubbard, the tech gurus are finally coming round to my way of thinking.
Well, this always happens.
I say stuff and people go, what's he on about? He's crazy. And then sure enough, the way I said it will be is the way it is.
Pretty much a few months down the line. This is proven.
Yeah, I've somehow managed to predict the future. This show is basically a crystal ball on your radio.
Yeah, pretty much.
What have I been saying about wearable tech since you've known me?
That it's a complete waste of time.
It is a waste of time. Nobody wants wearable tech. All we've heard from tech gurus for years is the next big thing after the smartphone is going to be wearable tech. Meanwhile, wearable tech has been a complete disaster. You can't even buy Google Glass. I don't even think it went on sale.
No, I think it went out as a trial in America, and some people over here got it, but then it vanished.
Google Glass vanished without trace. The Apple Watch table at the Apple Store is the emptiest place you'll ever go. If you're in a busy Apple Store, you want some time to yourself to gather your thoughts, go to the Apple Watch table. No one's interested in buying an Apple Watch.
Just a year or so ago, we had this big to-do about 3D TVs as well.
Yes.
But you had to wear the glasses.
You had to wear the glasses. The thing that held back 3D television was wearable tech.
Yeah.
Wearable tech actually caused the demise of another piece of tech. The television, something that's been around for so long, didn't catch on because of wearable tech. Okay, there's an article now. I'm not going to say where it is. It'll be easy to find if you want to find it from the clues I'm about to give you. But it is a very, very well-respected news organisation who have got this on their website. And it's a thing about wearable tech. It says that by November 2016, smartwatch shipments have declined by 51.6% year on year.
That's incredible. That's a massive figure.
Especially considering that no one was wearing a smartwatch in the first place. So now that tiny fraction of people that wore not just the Apple Watch, any smartwatch, it's cut in half in a year. Now that never happens. You take, say, something successful in tech like a mobile phone. That was growing like 10 times every year or something. It's a ridiculous figure that it accelerated. It wasn't suddenly we didn't have a year where only half as many people had mobile phones. That's never happened. It just keeps on growing. There's a thing called Jawbone. I've never even heard of it. It was a once popular fitness tracker. It was never popular. Oh, you remember it?
Vaguely, I've heard of it.
It's leaving the consumer market completely and focusing on healthcare providers.
Okay.
As well as this, Microsoft has removed its fitness band from its online store. You can't buy the Microsoft fitness band from Microsoft anymore. Fitbit remains a key brand. I'm reading from this trusted news agency site. Fitbit remains a key brand name at the heart of the fitness tracker evolution, because some of the fitness nutters, they wear wearable tech to count their steps, don't they? Fitbit has acquired one of its rights. So remember the Pebble watch?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's now been bought up by Fitbit, so that even whoever did the Pebble watch, they've sold it off to Fitbit. But talking of the 10,000 steps, didn't we have news, was it last week or the week before, that having 10,000 steps a day is nonsense anyway?
That's right, yeah. Some researcher in Japan had looked into this and said this 10,000 steps thing is rubbish.
Yes. So the only bit of wearable tech that was clinging on was the one that measures your steps. And a couple of weeks ago, we found out that measuring your steps is a waste of time. So good luck with that. So what I've been saying all along is that we don't want wearable tech. And although the tech gurus have been saying wearable tech is the next big thing, they've been wrong all along. Now, these facts, printed on a well-respected news organisation's website, back up what I've been saying all along and make a complete lie of what the tech gurus have been saying all along. Okay? The headline annoys me. The headline of this article from this well-respected news organisation says, "Has wearable tech had its day?" Wearable tech never had a day. What have you seen people do? Mick?
Yeah, this morning I saw some lady taking her kids to school.
Yeah.
And she had one couple in the back and one in the passenger side.
Yeah.
And she had a dog on her lap. But it wasn't a lap dog. It was one of them, the collies, like a lassie collie.
Full grown?
And it was sitting on her lap, it was, and she couldn't see in front of her, so she had to look round the side of the dog to see in front of her.
And you saw that where'd you see that?
That was coming down past, I had to go to Gravely this morning, so it was coming up the Gravely Hill.
Yeah. And this woman, she's got kids in the back as well.
She's got kids in the back and one in the front seat, and she's got a collie, like not border collie, one of them lassie collies.
A lassie dog, yeah, a good-sized dog, yeah. And she's having a look around the dog, and she's trying...
And the dog's sitting on her lap, but she can't see in front of her, obviously, so she's had to sort of look to the side.
Mick, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Graham.
Bob's Breakfast.
Pupils who hiccup in class will risk detention. Secondary schools introduced a new code of conduct there, so they'll receive a behavioural point for supposedly disruptive activities under these new rules. So they'll carry around a mini booklet detailing their achievements and punishments at all times. So if they're deemed to be disruptive, they'll get an extra point added to this book, which could land them eventually in detention. What Mum was saying, I know there needs to be rules, but my daughter's Summer got a behavioural point because she hiccuped in class, and this was put down to disruptive behaviour. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of this. This is at a school in Kent.
Yeah, I don't... It's hard to know, isn't it? Because, you know, if someone's got the hiccups in class...
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
funny for people who are listening to the hiccups. It's even funny for the hiccuper.
Yes.
For a minute there, you get a bit of fame.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, you don't
You're
have to do it. You don't have to come up with any funny lines or anything clever. You just hiccup, and that's it. And it can be really, really funny. And that's how it is in life. Goodness me, Helen's on the phone. Morning, Helen.
Hi, just wanted to say, your story about kids hiccuping in cars,
yes.
my son Thomas got a detention at Barnwell School for the same thing.
Now, when somebody hiccups in class, it's one of the funniest things ever. Why can't the teachers roll with it? Shouldn't learning be fun?
It should, but he couldn't stop, and then all of his mates started giggling, and it all spiralled out of control, and he got a behaviour detention at Barnwell.
Well, I'm sorry, that seems a bit harsh to me. I think the teacher should have had a good laugh and said, listen, mate, go and get yourself a glass of water, drink it upside down and come back when you sort it out. And that should be the end of it. He shouldn't get detention for hiccups.
He probably takes it too far, and they play on it as well, though.
Yes, I know they do. That's why the teacher should just say, look, it's really funny. Come on, sort yourself. Go and get yourself a glass of water. Go and sort yourself out. Come back when you've got it cured. And then the other kids can get on with the learning. And then that kid knows he has to, just like if you were in a meeting at work in the real world and you got the hiccups, you'd have to excuse yourself, go out to the toilets, get yourself a glass of water, drink it upside down, do whatever it does, and then you'd come back into the meeting when the hiccups have gone. That's what you wouldn't, but they wouldn't at work. They wouldn't hold that against you forever on your record that you got the hiccups. Do you know what? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the behaviour detentions are quite common at schools now.
Well, that's because the teachers are becoming power-hungry megalomaniacs instead of educators. Thank you very much, Helen. Bye.
Turn your knob to Bob.
I'm Graham Mack. Morning, Mick.
What about romantic things going wrong?
Yes.
I took my wife out for her 50th last year.
Yeah.
And her favourite car is a Mercedes, so I thought I'll hire a Mercedes and we'll go out somewhere. It'd been nice to go to a hotel.
Wow.
So I didn't tell her, so we were walking past the industrial estate where the car hire place is, and walked in, and I said, I've hired a car. And she sort of looked at me, and I said to the bloke, oh, it's a Mercedes. And he said, okay then, you got a credit card? And I said, no, I've got a debit card. No, we can't give it to you on a debit card, we can only do it on a credit card. So I said, so what do I do then? He said, oh, I can't give you one unless it's a credit card. So I haven't got a credit card, I didn't know anyone who's got a credit card. He goes, I'll give you something similar. End up with a Ford Focus.
That's not similar to a Mercedes.
So we went to this hotel.
And they're good cars, but they're not similar to a Mercedes.
Nothing like a Mercedes. So we went to this hotel, and I said to Sharon, let's go somewhere nice and have something to eat. So we went over to Stansted Abbott's, had something to eat, went to start the car up, and it didn't start. So I phoned up the company. This is about 9 o'clock, and I said to them, I'm not happy with this. The car's not going to start. What it is one of these push-button things. And as soon as you push the button, it says, we'll press clutch. So I put my foot in the clutch and nothing was happening. So I phoned up this company and they said the AA would be there within 2.5 hours. This was at 9:30. We're all dressed up to the 9.
Oh, no.
So I says, I'm not happy with this. I said, if you're not here within an hour, I'm going to leave the car here and go home.
Right.
So got to about an hour. I phoned them up again. They said it's going to be about 12:30 now. So I said, this is no good. So I got a taxi.
Yeah.
And it's about 11:30. We're driving back to Stevenage on the A10. Got a phone call from the garage saying, we're outside your car now.
Right.
So I said to the taxi driver, can you take us back again? So I took us back again. It cost me 45 quid for this taxi ride.
That went nowhere. Went back to where you'd started.
Back to where the car was.
Yeah.
The bloke got in the car, said, what's wrong with it? I said, it won't start. I said, tried everything. He got in it, pushed the button, it started first time. I wasn't doing it properly. You're supposed to put your foot down on the clutch first. I was putting the foot down on the clutch last. There's no instructions in the car how to do it.
No. Oh, what a night. Romantic gesture backfired. Oh. Did she still have a good birthday though? She got a tale to tell.
Well, she did, yeah, but the problem is we didn't get back to the hotel till about 1:30.
And you're both too knackered for any shenanigans.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's one of these nice ones where you got the old spa and that, so we was going to go swimming in the morning, but we didn't wake up till about 10:30, and we had to be at the hotel by 11,
of course,
so we didn't have breakfast either.
Oh, no.
Bob's Breakfast.
Let's get the latest news now from Chris Hubbard.
Now, tossing coins into a fountain for luck is a popular superstition. You see it very regularly if you go on holiday to the West Country, where they still have wishing wells.
Yes.
But a similar belief actually brought a bit of misery to a sea turtle in Thailand, for whom doctors have taken out 915 coins out of this sea turtle.
Oh.
So people have been throwing coins into this wishing well, and the turtle have been snacking on them. The turtle lived in this wishing well.
Oh, I see. But it was a sea turtle.
It was a sea turtle.
Was the well connected to the ocean somehow? You know?
It was kind of a well/pool.
I see,
so
right, yeah.
Yeah, and the seawater was in there.
Human beings are stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, the trouble is, we have, like, big brains and advanced intelligence, but we take it too far. We believe in goofy stuff like throwing a coin in a fountain will bring you luck. Like, you know, other goofy stuff like, you know, all religions. It's just complete nonsense. It's just made up nonsense because we were given the power of imagination. But we can't imagine a better world where sea turtles aren't choking on our crap. I'm Graham Mack, talking about your brush with wildlife story. Tracy.
Years ago, they used to do a lot of free grazing in Epping Forest. They bought it back, but they put fences around. But my mum and dad lived quite near Woods Cross Roundabout. And one of the neighbours, they had just popped across the road, come back, and a cow had gone in their house and was halfway up the stairs.
Halfway up? I didn't think they could climb stairs.
No, I don't think they can very well. It sort of got stuck. And you couldn't get behind it because it was going upstairs, and obviously it was leaving a bit of a mess behind as well.
Oh dear! Oh dear! Now, was the cow all right? Was the cow returned to the forest?
They got him out eventually, and he was returned to the forest.
Bob's Breakfast.
I'm Graham Mack, and Chris Hubbard. The British Prime Minister, Theresa May, is almost a psychopath. Well,
what's going on?
She's a sociopath. Now, if you don't know the difference, a sociopath is exactly the same as a psychopath, only they won't kill you.
Right.
Most of the radio station managers I've ever worked for have been sociopaths. A psychopath will kill you. A sociopath will just try to ruin your life. Most radio station managers I've worked for have tried to ruin my life. Now, luckily, I've managed to bounce back each time.
Yeah.
Every time.
You've not done too badly.
You cannot keep me down. But anyway.
Like that night in the Monty Python movie.
Yes. Yeah. Come back here. It's only a flesh wound. Only a flesh wound. That's exactly it. That's me. That's how I've...
You all over.
That is it. That's how I've run my radio career. Okay. Let's get back to Theresa May. Right now, the Brexit bill is ping-ponging, and I'm pretty sure that's the expression they use now. They call it ping-pong. I mentioned it on this show a couple of days ago. Yeah. Now it's been adapted as the actual phrase to describe what's going on. Once again, I'm ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, it's the bill to trigger Article 50. Article 50 is the thing that will start the Brexit process, which will then take 2 years. Anyway, as if it isn't slow enough, it's having to go between our two houses of Parliament, the elected House of Commons and the unelected upper house, the House of Lords. In case you don't know how it works, the House of Lords basically checks the homework of the House of Commons. That's their role.
Yeah.
The Lords are not elected. They're appointed. They're usually ex-members of Parliament who sucked up to the right people and were then awarded a lordship, which is the greatest gentleman's club in London. They're paid money to attend, and there's hundreds of them. In fact, there's way more of them than there are House of Commons. But that's how this illusion of democracy is created. Okay, then. So, the Brexit bill has twice now been to the House of Lords. Now, Theresa May didn't even want it to get that far. It took the Supreme Court, after a private citizen, Gina Miller, said you can't just trigger Brexit without it going through Parliament. So she takes it to court, where she wins. The government appeals, goes to the Supreme Court, she wins again. So Theresa May, she just wanted to get on with it. Like all dictators. They just want to have their way. But Supreme Court says it's got to go through both houses of Parliament. So it's now gone through the lower house, the House of Commons. It's gone to the upper house, the House of Lords. House of Lords knocked it back. Went back to the House of Commons. They did some amendments, changed some wording. Goes back to the House of Lords. House of Lords knocked it back again. Now, the bloke who led the revolt was Lord Heseltine.
That's right, yeah. Former Deputy Prime Minister for the Conservatives.
Used to be Michael Heseltine. Cabinet Minister. Former Deputy Prime Minister to the John Major Prime Ministership. A bloke who was a Member of Parliament from 1966 to 2001. It's quite a career.
Got some experience.
This is a bloke who knows a lot. And so, he's been working for the current government, the unelected Theresa May, who's only been there since June because of Brexit, and has never been Prime Minister before.
Isn't it incredible to think it was only June?
Only June. So he's been working as an advisor to the current Conservative government, which makes sense. He's been in Parliament a long time. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's learned a lot, and he can pass his wisdom on to the current government. Well, it was Lord Heseltine who led the revolt against the Brexit bill. So what has Theresa May done? She sacked him. He's now no longer giving her advice.
From 5 government advisory roles. Not just 1, but 5.
From 5 government advisory roles.
That's right, yeah.
He's been sacked from all 5.
All 5.
Wow. That's brutal.
This was hours after the debate in the Lords.
Hours after the debate. Brutal. She doesn't mess about. Now, I know she likes to spin this idea of the vicar's daughter. I'm not buying it. She is a ruthless sociopath who will cut down anybody who stands in her way. We learned this over Trousergate. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Now,
not that long ago.
Not that long ago. A lot of people have forgotten about this. Theresa May was pictured in a pair of leather trousers in, I think it was a Sunday supplement. It was a glossy magazine.
That's right, yeah.
She was pictured in a pair of pretty awful looking leather trousers. But they cost £995. And there was another MP, Nicky Morgan, and she publicly criticised Theresa May's trousers. She said that Theresa May's flashy £995 leather flares were not the kind of thing she'd be able to justify down the market in Loughborough. She was Education Secretary. Theresa May, after being mocked, after her trousers were called into question, Theresa May sacked her as Education Secretary. I'm telling you, Theresa May, cold-blooded career killer. She's out of control. She's made it clear that if you disagree with her, you're out. Now, the worrying thing is, because she's got this policy, she's now surrounding herself with grovelling sycophants. People who are scared to criticise her trousers or her Brexit policy. Classic sociopath behaviour. And a management structure run by a sociopath at the top and snivelling toadies all the way down. It's like a tree full of monkeys. The leader's at the top of the tree, and whatever level you're at, if you look down, you see smiling, friendly faces. But if you look up, you see nothing but a-holes. I'm Graham, Mack, Chris Hubbard.
Have you ever had a problem neighbour? Somebody who really got on your nerves?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
The neighbours made an Ofcom complaint about me.
Your neighbours made a complaint to Ofcom?
Yeah, my next door neighbour.
How did that work?
Well, I used to do this whole bit when I was at TFM in the Northeast. Actually, this Ofcom complaint still hasn't been resolved. They're still working it out.
Still hanging over you?
Yeah, I used to go on about how I was the only normal one in the street. And I used to... I didn't identify the neighbours, but I used to give them names.
Yeah.
Like the people over the road were the Volkswagens, because they had a fleet of them.
Yeah.
And then next door to them were the door slammers, for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Next door to me on the left were the bizarros, because they did everything round the wrong way in a bizarro world. Like, she used to do the ironing outside on an extension lead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I used to think, well, if they do the ironing outside instead of inside, what else do they do the other way round? I mean, do they sit on their food and eat with their bums? The bizarros. And next door on the other side was the Unabomber. He had like a hooded top and sunglasses, and you never knew what he was up to. And I used to say that he had a doomsday machine that had gone critical, and, you know. Anyway, the Unabomber moves out.
Yeah.
And the new people move in, and they've got a truck and a junkyard dog. So I used to say they're the Beverly Hillbillies, the Clampets.
And these were the ones who were listening?
Yeah. I used to say they're rednecks, and I used to say they've got quite a display of used kitchen appliances on their front lawn and, you know, tyre swans. And they didn't have any of that. I made it all up.
Okay.
Right, they had a truck.
Yeah.
And a dog. But anyway, she comes knocking on the door it's one Saturday. I'm upstairs. And Julie makes the mistake. The woman comes to the door, and Julie shouts up the stairs to me, Graham, Mrs. Clampett wants to talk to you.
First mistake right
First
there.
mistake. So I go down and talk to her, and she's complaining about what I've been saying about them on the radio. And I've said, no one knows it's you. How do you know it's even you? No one knows where I live. And anyway, look, you haven't got tyre swans or used kitchen appliances on your front lawn. Oh, we've got a truck, though, and a dog. So anyway, her husband turns up, and he says, we haven't got rednecks. And I said, well, look, if it bothers you, I'm not going to mention it again. I'm not going to mention it again. Not once. And I never mentioned the whole bit, never mentioned any of the other neighbours. I just stopped. If someone's going to be funny, just stopped. And he said, we won't be taking it any further. And that was the Saturday. On the Monday, I'm dragged into the office. There's an Ofcom complaint gone in. So what kind of people do that? If you're upset and I've stopped. Well, what do you want now? Blood? I think they did. And then a few nights later, he was, in the middle of the night, was digging a hole in the garden. And I never saw that dog again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he sold the truck.
Did he?
Yes. He sold the truck, and he killed the dog and buried it, and he sold the truck. And I'm pretty sure when he sold it to the fella, he spat on his hand before he shook his hand. I mean, it was... And anyway, that complaint's still not been resolved. It is still an ongoing thing. It was
all these
a
years
privacy
later.
complaint or something, yeah. Our Prime Minister, Theresa May, is not a great leader.
What's happened?
There's a backbench revolt against her.
Oh, is this to do with national insurance off the back of the budget?
It's a mutiny within her party. Plenty of Conservative members of Parliament are against the Chancellor's budget plans to raise the amount of tax that the self-employed pay.
One of them, Stevenage's MP, Stephen McPartlin, not happy.
Now Theresa May is backpedalling. Instead of being included in the finance bill, which makes the budget happen, she's announced that the tax rises will be brought in as part of separate legislation in the autumn.
That's right. They're going to debate it later this year.
And to suck up to the rebel backbenchers, she's promised that the Chancellor will speak to them about their concerns. Speak to them about their concerns. And publish a paper explaining the proposals before they're introduced.
This sounds like when a parent goes to a school and has got some sort of problem and the head teacher explains things to them rather nicely.
That's what's going on. That's not leadership. So this effectively puts the brakes on the Chancellor's budget. Imagine how he feels. The day after he delivers the budget, his boss goes, well, you know what Philip Hammond said, he's just, that's just Phil.
I mean, surely she would have checked this and been through it in the first place. It's not like he's gone out there without her saying so.
Yeah, but she's reacting now to the pressure. And that's a bad boss, a boss that reacts. Like, when you work for a radio station, if your boss reacts to complaints from someone who's not even, right, you might get someone who the radio station's not even for.
Yeah.
You might get someone who's like 95 years old, objects to something that maybe I said.
Oh, we've had that numerous times, haven't we?
A good boss will go, well, thank you very much for your concerns, thank you, and won't even tell me that we've had that complaint. A good boss, because I don't need to know. We're not aimed at 95-year-olds. We don't play Glenn Miller music. So it doesn't matter.
I used to work at a radio station where the boss would react like that every single way.
He was a bad boss, right?
Yeah, react furiously.
Yeah. A good leader says stuff and sticks to it. Or does stuff and sticks to it. But this is a U-turn, but not even a full U-turn. It's a half-arsed U-turn.
It is.
Now, don't get me wrong, I don't agree with making the hardest working people in this country pay more tax. Not at all. But I'd have more respect for the Prime Minister if she just stuck to her guns and supported her Chancellor. Theresa May's running scared. We already know she sacks individuals who get in her way. She canned the government advisor Lord Heseltine, who slowed down her Brexit plans. The Secretary of State for Education, Nicky Morgan, was sacked for suggesting that Theresa May spent too much money on her leather trousers. Spent too much money on her leather trousers. Sacked. So individuals, she not only stands up to, but she knifes them. But when it's a group, when it's a mutiny, when it's some rebels, she poos those leather trousers. And when Theresa May speaks, she doesn't really say anything. Brexit means Brexit. That doesn't mean a thing. Nobody knows what she's on about. And can anyone describe what a red, white and blue Brexit is?
We've still not had clarification on that.
No, what does that look like? What's that all about? A leader needs to be strong and decisive. Theresa May is weak and insecure.
This is Bob.
Mistakes you've made at work. What have you done, Jane?
When I used to be a wine merchant and I lost a body part.
Oh, explain.
Well, I was at a really posh tasting. Some of these tastings are horrendously posh. And I was feeling really grown up and posh and stuff. And there were about 100 and odd wines to get through, which, bear in mind, if you're driving, you're not going to be knocking them back, so you've got to spit.
Right.
It's not vulgar in wine terms. I mean, obviously you don't do it in the street or in a pub or in a restaurant.
Yes, you do it in a spittoon.
Yeah. And usually they're quite big, because not everybody's a neat spitter.
Okay.
Like barrels with sawdust in, so it soaks up all the goo.
It's not a little cup you put up to your mouth. It's a thing you hoik into?
Yeah, you gob into it.
Okay.
And you know, for want of a better expression.
Yes.
So, first thing, I'm sort of regretting wearing white and sampling the reds.
Right.
As men, they're just such messy spitters.
Okay.
So I was looking a bit spotted at this point anyway.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, I swirled this round, made all the right noises, and looked like I knew what I was doing.
Yes.
And the next thing, I spat with a plum. And I felt a sort of gap in my mouth afterwards. And I'd spat my front tooth into the spittoon. So I kind of went, stop, gentlemen. And I rummaged round in the spittoon.
Oh, God.
Pulled out my front tooth.
Yes.
The man stood at the side of me, who happened to have a glass of white. I dunked it in and washed it off a bit in his glass, and then I shoved it back in my mouth.
Yuck.
And carried on.
Jane, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, okay.
Bob's Breakfast.
Who's to blame for making us fat? Well,
we are, because we are the ones that are... No one's being held down and force-fed. But it's like an alcoholic. Isn't it a 12-step... I don't know anything about Alcoholics Anonymous. All I know is I stopped drinking in 1998. But I never went to meetings or anything like that. I just stopped. But from what I understand about it, there's a 12-step program, and the first step is admitting you have a problem. The more governments and the NHS and do-gooders keep telling people that they're fat because the food is labelled wrong, there isn't a sugar tax, the NHS won't pay for your gastric ban, as long as we keep finding out it's somebody else's fault or we are continually given someone else to blame, we won't get to step 1 of the 12, which is admitting that you have a problem. The word you is in that sentence. If you are over... Now, don't get me wrong. I've no objection to people being overweight. I think it's a freedom issue. If you want to be overweight, then just embrace it. Just tell people, you know what? I love food. I particularly love bad food, and I hate exercise. But the people who go like, you calling me fat? I'm not calling you fat. I'm just telling you what I can see. If you don't want to be fat, then don't be fat. If you want to be fat, just be fat and get on with it. But don't be fat, not want to be fat, and then blame someone else for making you that way.
Well, researchers reckon it is somebody else's fault.
Oh, here we go.
You want to know who the latest villains are?
Who are they?
Waiters and restaurant staff.
Waiters in restaurants.
That's
okay,
right. So they've revealed customers are more likely to choose unhealthy food if their waiter or waitress has got tattoos, pale skin, or messy hair.
I see. Right. So it's not your fault. Yeah.
Researchers in Norway say that we're subconsciously influenced by the appearance of our waiter when choosing from a menu. They showed 100 women a video clip of 3 waitresses who were either healthy, overweight, or unhealthy looking. They then measured the women's eye movements over a menu to see where their eyes lingered and what they actually ordered. And it showed that healthy or slightly overweight waiters often influence the customer to choose a healthier meal option, but that unhealthy-looking waiters make customers choose fattening food.
The word in that sentence that you need to highlight is choose.
Yes.
The customers choose. They're not forced.
No.
They choose.
At no point does a waiter come up and say, you won't be able to leave this restaurant. We're locking the doors unless you order a big bowl of chips.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Look, Everything is your own damn fault. That's not my philosophy. There is a brilliant, these motivational speakers that the Americans have, and they're like TV evangelists, but, they motivate like workforces and all the rest of it. There's one of them that goes against everything that these motivational speakers stand for, but he gets booked as a motivational speaker. His name is Larry Winget. Winget. Google Larry Winget. He has books called Your Kids Are Your Own Damn Fault. He has... that's one of his books. Your Kids Are Your Own Damn Fault. Everything, according to Larry Winget, is your own damn fault. And he's right. And until you accept that, because you're the only one that can fix it. It doesn't matter whether you smoke or you're overweight or your career's in the toilet or whatever it is. It's your fault. Everything's your fault. Now, success depends on 3 different things. As Paul Gambaccini once told me, he told me success depends on 3 things: talent, hard work, and favourable circumstances. There's a chance that you didn't have the favourable circumstances, but that's no excuse for not doing the hard work. There's also the chance that you just haven't got what it takes, which gets back to the talent one. But that's just the way it is. But stuff like smoking and being overweight or drinking too much or gambling too much or whatever your problem is, it's your fault. A couple of things I've got to get off my chest about the news this morning. First of all, Donald Trump's Muslim ban, which has been overturned again by a judge in Hawaii this time.
That's right, yeah.
Has anyone pointed out that the exact number of attacks on Americans by Muslims since Donald Trump took power still remains at 0?
You would have thought somebody might have said something to him. Maybe someone up there, but this is what he wants to do,
If something was happening every day in America, and people from those countries that he wants to ban were directly responsible, he may have a case. But it's not happening. There are no Muslim terrorists actually, forget Muslims. It's a ban on people from those 7 countries. Americans are not being killed by terrorists from those 7 countries every day, every week. It's not happening. So I cannot see how he's got a case. All right. The other one is the policeman that's talking about young drivers speeding. And he's saying, rightly, speeding is for on the track, not for on the road. Which is great advice. Driving on the road and driving in motorsport, totally different things. Motorsport does not belong on the road. Why is no one saying this about cyclists? Cycling belongs on a track or in a velodrome, not on the road. You never see a Formula One motor race happen on an open road. Most famous road circuit, Monaco. They closed the roads for the Grand Prix.
They get people out of the way because it'd be dangerous otherwise.
And exactly the same with cycle races. You never see the Tour de France run on open public roads. They close the roads for the cycle race. And the police are telling young drivers, sport doesn't belong on the roads. Why aren't they telling cyclists? And cyclists, they dress up in the cycling clothes, the lycra and the day glow. And then they cycle in groups. I can only assume they're racing each other because you see them in a whole...
Well, it's like a pack, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's, 2 or 3 people cycling alongside each other.
On an open road. It needs to finish. Last year, 113 people were killed on bicycles on the road. But it seems that the opposite is happening, and successive governments are encouraging us to cycle on the road. How can we have one rule about speeding drivers and another one about cyclists? We were talking a little earlier about Larry Winget. Now, this is because Chris brought us news that once again, something else isn't your fault. And in this case, it was that waiters are to blame for you being overweight. But we've also heard that no tax on sugar is because you're overweight. It's because packaging is wrong. It's because loads of reasons except it's your fault. And the same with smoking or anything that's happening in your life that's holding you back. For some reason, we are continually told it's not your fault. The only person that doesn't agree with this that I can think of is this motivational speaker from America called Larry Winget. He says everything is your fault, and I agree with him. This is just a little bit of what Larry has to say.
Figure out what hurts and don't do that anymore. I don't care why you do it, nor should you. I don't know how to have more money. Well, why don't you spend less and earn more? We have a $40 billion industry about how to lose weight. Why don't you eat less and exercise more? I have a high duh factor. I am known as the king of common sense. I'm the world's only irritational speaker. I'm the pit bull of personal development. But it all comes down to a handful of principles.
This is Bob.
I'm Graham Mack and Chris Hubbard. Another embarrassment for Theresa Mayhem.
Well, yesterday we heard this big turnaround to do with national insurance contributions for self-employed people. The Chancellor had announced this in his budget, that their contributions were going to rise, which went against the Conservative General Election Manifesto commitment not to put up national insurance income tax or VAT for these people. Then we had the budget. He announced that he was going to raise national insurance contributions. There was a massive backlash. This was only, a week ago?
Yeah.
Just over a week ago now.
Yeah.
And then yesterday he said, actually, we're not going to do this after all.
Unbelievable. So the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the man in charge of the money, announces he's going to raise more tax by increasing the tax, well, part of it, national insurance. It's just a tax by any other name.
All goes into the same pot.
All goes to the same place. In fact, national insurance doesn't even cover the amount we make in national insurance doesn't cover the amount we need for pensions and the NHS.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it doesn't even come close. Not even close. So he announces he's going to pick on the self-employed, the hardest working people in this country, the people who take fewer holidays and fewer sick days, the entrepreneurs, the small businessmen. All large business started out as a small business. The Ford Motor Company started with Henry Ford and a dream. The same with all other businesses. Small business, the self-employed, are the only people that can create growth. Governments can't do it. Governments cannot create growth. Yeah, they can employ more people, but that costs us more in tax. Business can employ more people as it grows, and they pay more tax. To pick on this section of British society is just dirty.
Even Conservative MPs were saying, hang on just a minute. You can't go ahead with this. One of our local MPs has said that.
The Conservatives in the run-up to the election promised no increases in tax. It was an election pledge. David Cameron made it. So he brings in this increase for the hardest working people and the only people that can actually create growth in this country. He brings in this increase last week in his budget. And our Prime Minister, the unelected Theresa May, she stands by him. She backs the increases. Then there's a backlash. And in classic Theresa May style, they do a complete U-turn. And the Chancellor, Philip Hammond, hasn't made it easy for himself. This is what he said in the Commons when he announced the U-turn.
Mr. Speaker,
I
think the Prime Minister should offer
No, this is Jeremy
an apology
Corbyn.
For the chaos that her government...
That's Jeremy Corbyn not standing up to him properly.
Well, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, it's a different story. We won't even need to go there. They're just as weak as the Tories. Have you got the audio of Philip Hammond announcing the U-turn?
I'm just having a look here.
I'm trying to play it off the Sky News site, which is it makes its own mind up about things.
Oh, here we go. It's just a very short clip, though.
Yeah.
I have decided not to proceed with the Class 4 NICS measures set out in the budget. There will be no increases in national insurance contribution rates in this Parliament.
So there we go.
Let me see. There's another bit he said here. Hold on. See if I can get this to play. Oh no! It's playing an advert for the RAF. What is that all about? Sky News, get your act together. An advert for the RAF. Join the RAF. That's exactly. Yeah, like I'm the exact person they want in the RAF.
It's targeted advertising.
It's targeted the wrong person. Oh, here he is.
Mr. Speaker,
now it's Corbyn again. I don't know. Anyway, so in it he says that he's still pledging a fairer tax system for the people who are employed and then the people who are self-employed. Like at the moment, it's not fair and the self-employed are getting all the advantages. Like I said, the self-employed take fewer holidays and fewer sick days. They don't get all the benefits of being employed. It is fair. That's why they get paid a little bit more. And he's trying to take that off them. So he's still not letting them off the hook, even though there's this U-turn.
Well, the government are going to get money out of you somehow, aren't they?
Well, there's £2 billion. There's a hole of £2 billion now.
They need to find this from somewhere.
Yeah, we'll be paying it. They'll probably go on to petrol. That's their usual trick. Anyway, so they bring in this thing. There's a huge backlash, and they backpedal. This government is all over the place. And it starts at the top with the Prime Minister, Theresa May. She's not a great leader. She's a reactionary. On Europe, she was pro-Remain. Then we had a referendum. And overnight, she became pro-Brexit. Brexit means Brexit. She supported tax rises for the self-employed. There's a backlash. Now she's done another U-turn. The Conservatives are weak. They have a weak leader. You never know where you are with this government. But the good thing is, if you don't like a new government policy, wait a few days. Brexit negotiations turning nasty.
Well, yes. I mean, Theresa May's doing her grand tour of the various parts of the UK at the moment. And she says she's prepared to negotiate hard.
Theresa May says she's prepared to negotiate hard. Now, I don't know how, because usually in a negotiation, the person who gets the best deal is the person who can walk away. If you're negotiating to buy a car over price and you can say, you know what, I'm not interested, and you genuinely mean it, you can't bluff in a negotiation. But we've got no bargaining chip because we've already said we're leaving whatever. So it's not like, if you don't give us what we want, we're going to leave. No, we're going to leave.
Which is probably what David Cameron should have done the first time that he sparked all this off.
It's exactly what David Cameron should have done. But David Cameron was a power-hungry megalomaniac, and he is, it's because of him that we won't have a United Kingdom soon. We don't know when, but eventually it will break up because, well, for a start, Scotland don't agree with it, neither do Northern Ireland, and Northern Ireland have got their own issues and have historically for a long time. So the thing is a mess. We don't have a bargaining chip, but our Prime Minister, Theresa May, keeps telling us she's going to negotiate hard. Or what? And really, the press are weak the press need to challenge her on that and say, what does that mean, negotiate hard? What's the leverage here in the negotiation that we've got? I don't see we've got any. What are we going to do if we don't get a great deal? Stay? We can't do that. There's a mandate from the people after a referendum, and it's been talked about in Parliament and voted on in Parliament. We're leaving, whatever. We'll have to take the deal that the EU say we're going to get. The EU are calling all the shots. They'll tell us what the deal is. We'll have no negotiating position at all. They will fix the price, and if we want out, we will have to pay it. There is no negotiation here. It's a fixed price exit.
And one of the commentators yesterday was saying this could be a very, very complicated deal because each of the EU nations all want different things from this.
Yeah. The figure that's being thrown around is £50 billion to get out. But it'll be whatever price they set. Whatever price they set, we will have to pay. This word negotiation is being bandied around as if we're actually going to talk about this and come up with a deal. We can't. We want out. We'll have to pay whatever price the sellers of out fix. Because we can't decide to stay. That's not on the table. She needs to, if she's got some bargaining chip up her sleeve, she needs to say what it is. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Now, it's getting nasty. It's getting really nasty. A senior Conservative MP has urged the government to tactfully remind European officials that the UK helped Germany waive half of its war debt in the 1950s.
This is Sir Bill Cash.
This bloke's name is Bill Cash. His name is Bill Cash. You couldn't make that up. He's the chair of the European Scrutiny Committee. So this isn't just some backbench MP. This is a guy involved. Here's his quote. Well, he said, it would be a useful point to make given, and I quote, Germany's extremely dominant role in the European Union, and insisted that we really don't owe anything to the European Union. So he's done it, you know. He's dared to bring it up.
Don't mention the war. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it all right.
You don't mention the war. Now, first of all, you can't go back on a deal. The deal is... I mean, can you go back on a deal? I don't think. Is there a circumstance where you can go back on a deal?
I don't know.
The deal was, look, you've surrendered now and it's all over and we have peace. You know what? All that debt, let's just cut it in half.
This was back at the beginning of the 1950s. I think.
You can't go back on that deal. That's a deal. It's an old deal. You can't bring that up when you're talking about a new deal. That's just dirty, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this goes back a long, long way.
Yeah. But you can't, like, you know, if you've had some dealings with somebody in the past and they owe you something and you go, you know what, don't worry about it. Well, then, like, how many years later? 60 years later?
Some of this goes back to debt from the First World War.
Right.
Which is a long time ago.
100 years later, you can't go back and say, you know this deal we're negotiating now? You know that other deal we did? I'm not going to stick to that one now. Yeah. You can't do that. I just hope, after bringing this up, after saying to the European Union, well, look, we did write off a lot of debt after the war with Germany. I just hope Germany don't come back and give us the bill for the damage that the RAF did to Berlin, Dresden and Hamburg.
This is Bob.
Well, Britain's tech-savvy iPhone generation, as they're being called, may know what a dongle is, may know how to use an iPhone and even create an app, but are clueless when it comes to changing a light bulb. According to a survey, under 35s lack basic DIY skills, so...
They can change a light bulb. Well, that's an exaggeration, isn't it? Surely they can change a light bulb.
I know somebody who got a man in to go and change a light bulb for them.
Was there somebody... female?
No.
Oh!
No,
you
it was a bloke.
You see, I've gone on about this before. We're witnessing the end of the human race. Not only are more female babies being born than males, but the young males are not masculine. Every generation is more feminine than the next. Admit it, Chris, your dad was more masculine than you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He could build things out of bricks and breeze blocks.
My dad built a garage out of bricks, and he was a plumber. So, and I bet his dad was more masculine than him. Because his dad fought in the First World War.
Yeah, well, my granddad fought in the Second World War and worked down a mine.
Yeah, so each generation of male is becoming more and more metrosexual. And we're starting to... And, you've got people like girly man David Beckham. He tried to get lots of tattoos to look hard, but he's still a girly man. And these metrosexuals... Women love them, but they don't realise, no, sometimes you need a bloke. In a time of crisis, somebody has to change that wheel. Somebody has to change that light bulb.
Somebody has to bleed a radiator. That's really satisfying, though.
Yeah, rewire a fuse, or these days even just reset a circuit breaker. That's beyond them. Finding the fuse box, beyond them. It all changed when men started calling shirts tops. It's not a top, it's a shirt. It's not a top, it's a jersey. It's not a top, it's a sweater or a pullover. It's never a top. Tops are girls' clothes. It's never a top, ever. It's a t-shirt. It's not a top.
Well, according to this research, 8 in 10 young women expect their partner to be a decent DIYer and be able to do these things.
Yes, ladies, look what you're doing by being attracted to these metrosexuals and breeding with them. You're creating even more metrosexuals. You need to seek out the real men who will be there for you in a time of crisis. And when you go into the bathroom, they haven't stolen your hair straighteners or your goop. Chris Hubbard.
Yes.
What is going on in the world?
Well, I'm guessing you're talking about this ban on passengers carrying laptops, tablets and other gadgets. Is that right?
Airport security checks are a joke. Now there's a Muslim laptop ban.
It's from certain countries. It's going to be introduced in the next few days. So people on flights from Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Tunisia and Saudi will all have to put the devices in their hold luggage.
When you fly to Britain from the Muslim countries of Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Tunisia and Saudi Arabia, you're not allowed to bring a laptop or tablet computer onto the plane with you. You have to put it in the luggage you check in.
That's right, yeah.
Now, apart from it being easier now for your laptop to get lost with your luggage or stolen, this just proves that all of those security checks you have to go through are useless. Until the Muslim ban came in, every computer you took on a plane was x-rayed and inspected.
That's right, yes.
You had to put them through the x-ray machine separate to your other stuff. No, is there a laptop in there? Is there, take it out, the laptop has to go in a separate bin. Is there a laptop in there? It has to be separate. Now they're saying it'll be safer to bury them in your suitcase. Since we've had heightened security at airports, they haven't found anything that can bring down a plane. Not a single thing. All they've done is confiscate gallons of drinks, mouthwash, and shampoo, and made you get into a negotiation with them over hair gel and jam.
That's true. I had a large disagreement with a guy at Luton Airport about hair gel.
And along the way, they've missed things that did cause problems on planes, like the shoes Richard Reid was wearing and the drawers that the underwear bomber was wearing. By the way, Reid was flying to Miami from Paris, and the underwear bomber was flying to Detroit from Amsterdam. France and Holland not on the list of countries where you can't fly with a laptop.
No.
And this new rule doesn't apply to mobile phones.
I find this quite confusing.
It's strange.
Yeah, it does sound very odd.
The most dangerous thing that's caused trouble on planes lately is the exploding Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Well, the world is facing a crisis, Chris. You brought us
crisis?
Well, you brought us news that the modern male may know how to do stuff with a laptop, might know how to do stuff with a phone, might understand what a dongle is, but cannot change a light bulb in a time of crisis, cannot change a wheel or a fuse or do anything manly at all because of the rise of the girly man.
That's right, yeah. They're saying things like changing light bulbs and bleeding radiators.
Bleeding radiators that are dying out. These are things that you need men for, and it's the women's fault. The women have been attracted to the girly man for years because he uses moisturiser. And they've been breeding with them and breeding more girly men. And eventually, ladies, you will have no men to help you out in a time of distress. There will be no more men. We'll all just become one homogenized generic sex. There'll be no difference between women and men. You need a difference.
You need your man to smell of man.
The smell of man. Be a man.
Smell of oil. Engine oil.
That's right. I know what swarfiga is and how important it is.
Absolutely.
Know the difference between engine oil and gear oil. You know, these are important things. Joe's on the phone. Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Graham. I just wanted to let you know that the Heaney clan is doing its best to keep the testosterone male alive.
Yes.
My father was an Irish Guard and went to war in Ireland.
Yes.
I was a firefighter for 14 years.
Firefighter, yes.
Yes, get in there. My eldest son is a roofer. My youngest son is currently studying in an apprenticeship to be a joiner and working on a building site. And all of my three boys are rugby players.
Joe, by breeding proper men, you might just save the human race.
I can only give it my best shot, Graham.
I appreciate you being there, Joe. Thank you very much for checking in.
Cheers, bud. Have a good day.
Ta-da, bye.
Turn your knob to Bob.
Jane's on the phone. She listens to BOBfm in North Yorkshire. You want to talk about what happened in London yesterday, Jane?
Obviously, I'm 200 miles away, but the impact, my sons live and work in London, friends work in the city, are horrified like everybody else. But two things stood out in my mind. The first one, yes, our politicians, they might provide framework for our country. But the people at the front line, the people who actually make our country work, are the doctors, the nurses, the hospital orderlies, the policemen, the firemen, the teachers.
Yeah.
Those are the people. Without them, we're not Great Britain, really.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm out of breath because I've just run upstairs.
No, but it's actually, you're absolutely right.
And I think, watching the doctors run across the bridge yesterday,
yeah,
the one minister and member of parliament who ran out Obviously, who ran out. You
Tobias.
could see.
Tobias used to be my neighbour. He lived in the flat above me when I lived in Bournemouth.
Did he?
Yeah,
He's
he
MP for Bournemouth, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
And he's a Green Beret.
Yes,
I
he's
gather.
ex-military. Yeah.
Yes, but that training stood out. I mean, and the guy also, I think, very sadly lost his brother
Yeah.
in a terrorist attack. But he, straight out there,
Yeah.
straight to the nub of it.
That's the best of Britain right there when you see that going
certainly.
on. Yeah.
And another thing struck me that isn't quite so wonderful, and that covers the media.
Yeah.
I was watching it, obviously, in my lounge, safe, and the thinly disguised glee on some of the reporters' sort of faces and in their voices. You know, oh, we're covering this event. This thing's happened. Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
And I thought, could at least look really horrified because people have died. We don't know, at that time we didn't know what the cost was. But you could almost see them thinking, oh, my career might be going up a few notches because I'm here at the face of it. And I found that a bit, well, shall we say at best, distasteful.
Yeah. Jane?
Of course the media has to cover it.
Yeah.
You know, they absolutely have to.
Yeah.
But at least sort of look as though they're horrified.
Yeah. All right. Jane, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Good morning, Graham. See you later.
Good morning.
Bye.
Bob's Breakfast.
Why are we still ignoring the fact that the bloke who carried out the attack on Westminster Bridge last week wasn't a terrorist? He was a nutter. Politicians are looking for all sorts of ways to link him to terror organisations so they can bring in new laws to control us. You see, politicians are power-hungry megalomaniacs. They are hungry for power. The more they control you, the more powerful they become. Now the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, has criticised messaging services like WhatsApp for potentially allowing terrorists to communicate undetected. She's called for encrypted networks to build backdoors into their systems so terrorist messages can be accessed during investigations. Well, Scotland Yard said that the attacker wasn't the subject of any current investigations and there was no prior intelligence about his intent to mount a terrorist attack. Yes, the attacker sent a message using one of these networks before the attack, but we don't know if that message had anything to do with the attack because it was encrypted. And he wasn't under any investigation. So if there was a back door, it wouldn't have been opened till after the attack, so couldn't have prevented it. What is she on about? Here's some facts that don't get repeated. The Westminster attacker was not a member of ISIS or any other terrorist organisation. He wasn't an immigrant. He was British. He was born in Kent and used to be called Adrian. He carried out the attack alone. None of the witnesses say that he shouted anything about Allah or any other god before or during the attack. The police have carried out a total of 15 searches at various addresses in London, Brighton, Surrey, Wales, Birmingham and Manchester. No one has been charged with anything. He was known to police and had a range of previous convictions for assaults, including grievous bodily harm, possession of offensive weapons, and public order offences. But he'd never been convicted of a terrorist offence. His history of violence all happened before he was supposedly radicalised in jail. This bloke was a threat before he was a Muslim. It looks like he was attracted to Muslim extremism. But like I said earlier, he was a nutter. And nutters are attracted to extremism. They might be attracted to religious extremism, but they can also be attracted to political extremism on the far left or the far right, neo-Nazi extremism. Extremism attracts nutters. Only people with an agenda will describe this bloke as a terrorist. Politicians are top of that list. Adrian, or whatever he changed his name to, was not a terrorist. He was a nutter. He had serious mental health issues that weren't picked up or dealt with even when he was in jail. If we want to reduce the chances of this happening again, we don't need access to WhatsApp. We need to put more resources into treating people with a history of violence and mental illness. I'm Graham Mack, and I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, make sure you share it on Facebook and Twitter, and you can subscribe at iTunes. Britain is going to take back control. That's what the politicians are telling us about Brexit. Article 50, the formal process of leaving the European Union, has been triggered. 20,000 pieces of EU law will now be copied into the UK statute books. Then, thousands of those laws need to be corrected so that they can work properly. The logistical challenge is immense, and the cost will be astronomical. We're talking about everything here from medicines to banking, and the British public won't get a say on any of it. The only winners here are the politicians. These power-hungry megalomaniacs will get even more of what they crave: power. Without the EU keeping an eye on them, British politicians will become drunk with power. We keep hearing this phrase, taking back control, as if it's us, the British people, that will get to decide for ourselves how things run from now on. The truth is, we won't get more control over anything. The politicians will still make all of the important decisions. But now, they won't have to answer to anyone. And what about the EU? They're still going to represent our biggest trading partners. Britain won't get a say on how trade deals are regulated. And given the choice, do you really think the EU will make regulations that suit us or their paying members? And if they don't want other member states to leave, do you think they'll make things better for a Brexited Britain? Or do you think they'll just try to ruin us as a warning to the others? What we have here now is not control. The Brexiteer politicians are selling us an illusion of control, so that they can satisfy their hunger for even more power. And we've just given it to them. Scotland want independence now, and we don't know what problems a hard border with the Republic of Ireland are going to cause. What we have here is not control. It's chaos.
Bob's Breakfast.